Hello, Hearts of Iron 4 players. My name is Enzo, and I'm one of the lead developers for End of a New Beginning. And today I will be showing you how to download our GitHub version. First things first, you would like to go to our Steam Workshop page here. And if you scroll down a little bit, you will find our official GitHub repository. Once clicking the link, it should take you to a page that looks similar to this. Now, before you actually use anything here, you will need to go to GitHub Desktop, and you need to download it for Windows like you would anything else. You can also use GitHub browser, but that complicates things both for yourself and for us. So instead, opt to use GitHub Desktop. Once you have it downloaded, it should look not at anything at all like this. Instead, it will say something along the lines of "Welcome to GitHub" with 3 buttons here that should talk about creating a repository, cloning one, or adding one. What you will need to do is either click Clone Repository if it says it there, or go to File and clicking Clone Repository. This will take you to a little pop-up here. You have 3 options: github.com, GitHub Enterprise, and URL. Hoi4 mods will use github.com and URL. None will really use Enterprise. And how each of these work is for github.com, you will need to use our repository URL, and that can be found on our page right here. You can see it here as eoanb-team/eoanb. Now you can type it in here like so. No space, that's important. Yours will not show it as being familiar with it down here. Mine is only familiar with it because I obviously use it and it knows that I have the repository, so it'll pop up here. Alternatively, from this, you can go to URL and you can take the URL up here. Now, this is mostly used for something like GitLab, which is another branch of GitHub, and you will put it in like so. Now, to actually put the path onto your computer, you need to use this local path here. Mine's already filled in, but you will need to click Choose, and it should take you to either your Documents folder or your main file explorer. You need to go to Documents, then to Paradox Interactive, Hearts of Iron 4, your mod folder, and then it'll show you a bunch of your mods here, either from Steam, or if you've downloaded GitHub before, it should show files such as this. Now, to actually make a file, you need to right-click, go to New, and then do Folder. You need to type in all capitals, EOANB. This is important as it comes into consideration whenever you're setting up your path for your installation. Then click on it to make sure you select the folder, and you can double check here to make sure the folder is selected. Then you can hit clone. This will begin a process here. This can take anywhere from a minute to 5, just depending on how fast your computer is running or any other applications you have open. To give a little context of what our GitHub is, it is basically a public repository where our developers can push their code. Now, at sometimes we may have upward of 15 developers pushing code simultaneously or in synchronization. Now, if we weren't to use a public repository that we can easily edit, fix, and merge code, it'd be a mess. We'd have developers with overlapping code. It'd be a pain to go through. So instead, we opt for this public repository. Now, a lot of mods do use a repository, but theirs are probably not public as they prefer a more private usage and will only release via Steam. How we do it is devs will opt for either 2 ways to push their code to the repository. Some will use highly finished and large amounts of code that have little to no loose ends, and they'll push it to our repository. Other developers might do small bits of code that's highly experimental and may have many loose ends and push it. Now, this can come into an issue if it's not looked over properly, and it could cause crashes. Now, we usually flatten out any crashes if it comes to being one relatively quickly, so you don't really have to worry about it. But if you do come across one, obviously you can tell us in our Discord. We then use our main branch where everything's done, and we'll push it to our Steam, which would be polished and optimized to the best of our ability to ensure that our Steam users get exactly what you're getting, but you get it a little ahead of them. So once you have it cloned, it should appear as a screen like this. You have 3 buttons at the top here. This one you don't have to worry about unless you have other repositories where you can obviously very easily switch to them. Your current branch is important here as it is where you'll be seeing our code. Now, we have multiple branches, but our main one as our default branch is the one that you will be using. You can see that we have stuff like tech rework, update, GUI rework, and translation. These are branches for more specific code to be pushed to that will then be merged to our main branch, which will then go to Steam. Then you have this button here called fetch origin, which will come into importance in a second here. Now, next thing you want to do is open up your file explorer. You need to go to your documents. I have it just pinned here. So you can go to your documents, Paradox Interactive, then Hearts 4, your mod folder again. Then you will see your EOANB folder that we just made. We can open it up and it should appear like this here. You really don't need to worry about anything in here unless you're obviously a developer, but that's for a different video. You will then need to find this mod file called EOANB, all lowercase. Now you can either hit Control V or save it through right clicking and then take it back to your mod folder here. You would then want to Control V it in so you can see it as shown in this folder. Then you want to open it. Now you will open it with a text editor. Many computers start with one, but if you don't have one, you can download something like Notepad, which is very simple, very basic, and very easy to use. I use Visual Studio Code because that is what most developers opt to use, as it's more efficient for us to code with. Now, whenever you open it up, it should appear something like this. You don't need to worry about any of this. The only thing you need to care about is this path down here, which will say, as default, mod/EOANB. This is not correct because this is not the path that your mod is sent to. So instead, you will want to delete this because you don't care about it. And you will want to go to back to your file and back to your mod folder. The path is essentially the path to get inside of the folders that you've created. So you'll start with mod as you are here. You will open up EOANB as it shows here, and then the other folder inside of it with all of the code. So this is the path right here that you will need to copy. So let's do it. Let's do commas, mod / all capitals EOANB, as that is our first file. Then the repository file that we put into it, capital E, lowercase o, a, capital N, capital B. Make sure you save the file. Obviously, you can do either Control S or you can go to File and do Save. Once this is done, you can then minimize it or close it, up to you. You can then close out your file here as you will no longer need it. And then you're back here. Fetch origin is your most important button that you will have on this. This is how you pull updates, or commits as they're called, from our main repository onto your client. So you will hit it twice because the first thing will fetch it and the second thing will actually pull it. If there's an update or a comment, you'll see it as a little number, probably on this side, and it'll tell you that you're behind on commits. So again, you need to click it twice to pull everything. Obviously right now there are none. And then you can minimize this tab. You can go back to Steam, you can go to your library, you can go to Hearts 4, you can hit play, and then play Hearts 4. It'll open up this. You may have an older launcher, but it should work the same either way. You go to your playsets, and you can go to add more mods. If it doesn't appear in your playsets, you want to click add more mods, and it will appear here. And you want to add a playset, and it should say end of a new beginning, official GitHub version. It's 2.94 gigabytes. That might not be the same by the time that you are installing it, but if it does say that it has a size, then you should be good to go. Make sure you have no other mods enabled, go to home, and then you can play. And enjoy the mod. We update bi-yearly, 2-yearly. You can expect an update hopefully soon by the time this video comes out, maybe somewhere by the end of this year if we are aiming for the right spot. And enjoy the mod and have fun. Bye-bye.